What do we got here? Look at that. Blue, some brown, bronze, red, all sorts of colors starting to take shape. But before we get to that, we need to back up and show you where we left off. On part one, we finished up by giving the thing a good pressure wash. And on this episode, we continue to just do this dismantling from tearing out the beam to grinding off some extra bracketry that no longer needs to be there or we need to replace. And get that thing ready for some paint and primer and in the wrong order. And just continue to dismantle down. So this video has a little bit more visual than a lot of talking, but there's be a few updates and a few things like that later on in the video. But for now, we're just dismantling this thing and getting it ready for the next steps. So today, our goal is to just continue stripping this thing down. We're really close, and then get it in some trim-clad primer, and maybe we even get a little bit of color on the actual chassis. And at that point, then we can start some reassembly. But for now, we're just going to continue sanding it up, clean it up as best we can, and then start bolting things back on. Got her cleaned up. We're going to go with some trim-clad primer and eventually some trim-clad dark blue for the actual paint, and see how durable that is. We're going just with brushable because there's still some more bars that need to be welded in, and I'm sure if we actually use this thing, it's going to get beat up and scratched and so on, so then we can just touch it up if it bothers us enough, but it might not. So that's next. Okay, well, after another evening's work, we've got our second coat of blue on here. Trim clad, paintbrush. The floor will go a dark gray. We'll let that harden up and eventually we'll get the floor painted a dark gray too. But it looks way, way better. We had a little bit of a painting mishap, you can see by my nose. And somebody, not named me, also named Holden, dumped a bucket of blue paint right there on the floor. But we managed to save most of it. So what's next? Let the paint dry. Install transmission and get the rear end in there, and engine and seats, and start making all the pieces from the bin go back in. So one step closer, but it looks a million times better.